Good morning. I was looking at the chat here and I saw people saying Happy New Year. And I was like, uh-oh, is going back to another class? And then I realized, well, maybe some people weren't here yesterday. So maybe it's their first class. So great. I hope you had a Happy New Year. If I didn't wish that to you yesterday. New Year. It's a good time, right, to think about new things, new beginnings. We put a lot of emphasis on this, I think, this idea of making New Year's resolutions. And I think I've said this before, I'm not a huge fan of them, mainly because I feel like it's an opportunity to fail, right? and for many of us, that's almost worse than trying in the first place, right? Because then not only are we disappointed because we don't have, or we haven't achieved whatever it is we wanted to, we also have more ammunition to prove just how lazy we are or whatever. So I would like to talk about yoga resolutions, right? So if we're working in a kind of a regular way where we make this resolution and then we stick to it for a week or two and struggle and argue with ourselves and get mad and then give up and pretend that we never did it in the first place. That's not really a yogic way of going about it. That's maybe our regular way of going about it. It's kind of a joke in the yoga community, how full classes get in January and maybe into February as well. But then by the mid-February, beginning of March, we're back to normal. And then, of course, then in the summer, everything's dead again. But and I think fitness places in general are all like this, right? So when we talk about this in yoga terms, it's a twofold thing, and I'm not going to get into a lot of words. I mean, like, I just realized that I forgot to fix this yesterday, so now I fixed it. So there's some specific terms that we use for it, but just remember that it's two things. So the first part is that impulse, right? The impulse, this what they call Sankalpa, which is the impulse to do something different, and that hopefully it arises from within. It's not something that we see online or something that someone tells us, right? Or like a reaction to something that someone tells us. It's something that really comes from a desire within to change or to do something different. That's the first part. Second part is actually putting that into action. And that's a little trickier, right? We have a lot of impulses in the course of a day or a year or whatever. Not all of them are going to make it to the implementation stage. We may decide that is not what we're ready to do right now. We may think about it for a bit and realize that it takes a lot more time and effort than we're willing to put in, or it may just be completely unrealistic, right? I mean, maybe I'll have an impulse that, I'm watching the Olympics and I have an impulse that I really want to be an Olympic gymnast. And then I go, hey, wait a minute, you're 55 years old. That's not going to happen. Right? So it's possible to have these impulses that aren't ever going to happen. But we need to recognize that does not make, it's not a fail, right? It's not a failure to realize that something that you maybe think about doing is not realistic. That's sensible, right? we may wade through some of these ideas and thoughts that we have with, reason, and then they disappear. That doesn't mean we're giving up. It means we are looking at things in a realistic way. Of those other ones that maybe do seem realistic, um, a lot of those aren't going to happen either, right? Again, it's not a failure. It's just they don't have the same intensity. They don't uh, really sing to you, right? Um, when we want to make a change and we have this resolution to do so, it's a lot of work, right? I mean, there's a fair amount of effort and intention, keeping your mind on this, and not everything is going to be worth it to you, right? um, that's okay. Not everything has to be. It's like many other things in our life where there are so many. I think about like giving to charity, right? That's a kind of a good analogy. um, Giving to charity of your time, of money, of whatever it is that you have to offer, is a beautiful thing, and a very worthwhile thing. But we can get bogged down with the amount of charities that are out there, the different types of things. We can get stalled into inaction, trying to decide, well, which is more important? Is it more important to help the homeless? Is it more important to help people, um, uh, maybe domestic abuse? I mean, there are so many different things, so many different people in need. And a lot of times, we get stuck in this idea where we have to pick the right one. Which one is right? Which one is perfect? Which one will be the best value, the best um, use of my time? The food bank, the rescue animals? I don't know, right? But the beauty of it is you get to decide, right? What resonates for you? Um, what do you feel in here? What do you really feel is important? Um, that's the one you follow, and it works with your Sankalpa as well. Um, Whatever you're doing to make positive change is good. Just like whatever you're doing to help other people is good. It doesn't have to be what other people might want to do, but it's what you want to do. And that's what will keep you going. If you are doing something that you don't feel strongly about, that you don't really believe in, you're going to give it up. It's going to be um, not sustainable for you. So find something that you really can believe in, that you, um, and it doesn't matter if no one else believes in it or understands it or cares about it. Um, so what? You're your own person. You have your own um, unique set of circumstances, and they are going to dictate where your interests go, where your efforts will be best suited. So, just like everything else, make your own choices with this. Um, and if you do eventually, right, settle on a resolution, um, the next, yoga step with this is to treat it just like we would any other thing that we're doing in yoga. We do it one step at a time. Small steps, consistent steps. Um, if you have a day that you can't do whatever it is you want to do, that's okay. Let it go. Start the next day. Um, there isn't any timetable for change except what happens for you. We can impose our own timetable on these things, but we aren't usually working from here. We're working from in here, and that's not good, right? We will put undue pressure on ourselves. We will we'll start judging, right? I don't feel like I'm making enough progress. Um, I'm not, seeing the results that I want to see, whatever they might be. Um, Everything in our life can work like our yoga practice. I know that sounds crazy in some ways, but it's not. It's completely true. Yoga, what we do here in the yoga room, is a microcosm of your entire life. If you can create a practice that is helpful, that is supportive, that is nurturing to yourself, that is individual to you, um, you can take all of those things and apply them to everything else in your life with positive results. I'm not going to say it'll be easy because once you get out of the yoga room, that's when the wild cards come in, right? Everybody else, other people's opinions, um, our own feelings of inadequacy and inferiority or superiority, right? All of these feelings will come rushing in once we start um, dealing with this outer world. But we're building this strength, we're building this confidence here, so that we can deal effectively in the outer world. Um, you'll see it happen over time. You just have to trust in the process and be um, be open and honest with yourself. I think one of the one of the issues that people have with their practice and their life is that they are not honest, right? Uh, they are so happy and eager to please other people and to fit into maybe roles that they believe are appropriate for them, but they're not what they want. If they really look into their heart of hearts, they see something different. But for some reason, don't think that's correct. They think that's wrong. Um, they think other people are more important than what's within. They think, you know, holding up other people's expectations is more important than just living your truth. And I can't tell you there is uh, there's nothing more incorrect than this. Um, the only thing is to live your truth. That is, um, and by not doing that, you're actually really disserving the people around you. So if you think you're giving them what they need, you're not. What they need is your authentic self. And that's what you need too. And that's what the universe needs, right? You are here on a mission. I don't know what that mission is. You may not either. But I know the way to complete that mission is to figure out how to let what's inside out. So that's a lot, right? That's a big resolution, but it's not a bad resolution, right? Live your truth and let that truth shine out to others. Um, it all starts here. Um, get to know that truth. Get comfortable with it. Um, be accepting, right? Don't judge yourself. And you may be very surprised to see what's in there. It's all good things, I promise. I mean, there are bad impulses too, but there's a beauty to being who you are. Um, so we're going to work on that. All right. Some asana. Let's do it. Um, yeah, I think we'll just do asana today. I'm going to do a yoga nidra at some point later, maybe later in the week. I don't know. We'll see how we're doing. Today feels like an asana day. So, sitting up. Relax, breathe. And then lower, chin toward the chest. Move around, big circle. One way and then the other. Back to center. Lean forward, move around. One way and the other. Back up to your seat. Bring the arms wide. Deep breath, and then on the exhale, hands come together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. We're gazing up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. Lower. Lift, and then right hand by your side, reach across. Switch. Back up. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And roll forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sitting tall, take a twist. Back to center and switch. And back to center. Walk the hands out. And then hands behind you, squeeze, shoulders together, knees up. Back to your seat, tabletop. Back on the heels, child's pose. Back to tabletop. Cat-cow. Take a few sets here. Inhales, then exhales. It doesn't have to be a big movement. Things may feel kind of tight. And then sitting back again. Back up, tabletop to downward dog. Kind of bicycle it out a little. And then step the feet up. We'll be in a fold. Rising up. Standing tall. Breath in and breath out. Inhale, lift, arms high. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step back with the right. Drop your knee, arms overhead. Hands down to the mat, stepping back, downward dog. Inhale, forward to high plank, and then lower down. Inhale, just lifting up head and chest. Lower. Inhale, lift. Lower. Inhale, lift. And lower. Moving back up to tabletop. If you want to come up to kind of upward dog on your way, you can. And then we're going to sit back on the heels. Back up, tabletop to downward dog. Take one more breath. Then we're going to step the right foot up. Drop your knee. Arms overhead. And then hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up and fold. Inhale. Flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. And back to mountain. Breath in and breath out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, left foot steps back. Set the knee down. Arms overhead. Hands down to the mat. Stepping back. Downward dog. Inhale, high plank. And lower. Inhale, lift, head and chest. Lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up and lower. Moving back up. Tabletop and then child's pose. Tabletop again. Downward dog. Take one more breath in, and then step up with the left foot. Drop your knee, arms overhead, and hands down to the mat. Back foot steps up, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift high. And then hands back by your side. Breath in and breath out. Let's step out to the side. Take a breath. And then leaning forward. Hands could stay at the waist, or if you want to bring them down, you can. Down to the legs, down to the floor. If you have a block, you could rest on the block. The main thing here is to keep that weight in the front part of the foot. And you want to feel kind of like you could lean right forward here. Hands back to the waist. Use that strength in the legs to help lift up. Breath in, breath out. If you feel lightheaded, bring your hands up over your head. Take a couple of breaths. And then we're going to walk the feet in and do a couple balance here. We can start with tree. So we're standing on the left foot. Right foot comes in, maybe a kickstand that you can lift your toe with, experiment. See what feels stable for you today. Probably different than the last time you did this, who knows? Maybe the same. I think a lot of times in our practice, we reach a certain place and we stay there for a while. And then just set the foot back down. What we don't want to do is to always have this expectation of being a certain way. Let's work on the other side. Things may change, right? You may find it's very difficult some days, or you might never try to do a little more, right? So if you're always doing this, try bringing your foot in. See what happens. You may be pleasantly surprised, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that we try and that we experiment, see how things have changed, and not assign any value to that in particular, right? Just see how it goes. Bring both feet down, bicycle out the legs, and let's step out into a warrior three. So we've got hands together, take a breath, and then we're stepping out with the left foot. Yeah, let's do that. Shifting, and then lifting that back leg. And if you feel unstable at some point, set the foot down and try again. See what works. Hands might stay together. You could bring them out if that is helping you with your steadiness. Just see. And then set the foot back down. Let's switch sides. So now we're stepping out with the right and going with that. Sometimes balance is very tricky. We might know why, right? We might have a feeling because my legs hurt or something like that, and then set the foot down. Or we might not have any feeling at all, any idea. It just is. And then set the foot back together, so bicycle out the legs. And let's do a dancers, because we haven't in a really long time. Arms up overhead. Drop that right hand down. So we're reaching for the foot. If we can, we're grabbing the instep. The thumb should be pointing down toward the toes. You don't want to be holding the outer part of the foot. Right? It turns the shoulder in a way that's not great. But honestly, if you're not going to do a lot of extension, then however you grab the foot it's probably fine, right? What we don't want to do is put a lot of strain on the shoulder in an odd way. And if you can't reach the foot, then maybe we're just reaching back. So anyway, we've got it. You can always use the wall if you want, if you need that stability, either to touch with the left hand or even to be up against the wall. Some people feel like this is a good thing to have their hip kind of up against the wall. Whatever you want to do, you want this to be a very stable pose. And then release it down. Last thing you want to do in balance is fall over, right? That's not productive. If you do, it's no big deal, but I don't want you to hurt yourself. So use a wall if you need to. There's no problem with that. Let's work on the other side. Catch a hold of that foot. Can you see I have not done this in a while? This feels very alien. And then extending if you want. If that feels good to you. And keep breathing. And then just set everything back down. Let's cartwheel the arms around and come down to a seat on the mat. Soles of the feet together, sitting up tall, just folding forward a little bit. Back up. Both legs out in front. Breath in, leaning forward. And we're back up. Bend that right knee. Bring the foot in, close to the thigh. Sitting up tall, we're going to fold forward. So initiating that fold at the hips. We're bringing the whole body forward. We're not curving down. We're bringing the body forward so that really the shoulders and the head should be kind of the last thing that is moving. Come on back up. And if that means, right, that you can't go that far, right? So a lot of times we think we're folding here, we're doing a lot. That's just, our impression, right? When we're moving from here, we're actually lengthening the body and using these, the psoas down here. We're kind of stretching there. So if this is tight, you may not come that far. Maybe you're here, right? That's okay. If you are feeling that intensity as you fold, then you're working that area. It doesn't matter how your positioning is, right? It's internally, how do you feel? Do you feel like you're putting some stretch and some effort in? Yoga poses should feel a little challenging, but they're never going to look the same, right? You can't look at two people doing yoga and tell what they're doing, right? It's going to look very different because everybody's got, different levels of flexibility and strength and whatnot. So people could be doing the exact same practice, right, to the same level of intensity, but have it look very, very different. Take a deep breath in, and then we are again leaning into the pose. One back up. Both legs out in front. Take a deep breath and fold. And then moving back up. So traditionally, the rule of thumb for asana practice is if you are breaking a sweat, that's good. If you're not, and but that's a normal practice. So if you aren't doing all the poses, or if you are going sort of halfway through the pose because you've got some issues that you're trying to avoid, maybe some tightness or some pain, then obviously, you maybe won't be going that far. But if you're breaking a sweat, then that's good. You're working at an appropriate level of intensity. if you were sweating buckets, you may be pushing yourself too hard. So adjust accordingly, right? Less is more when it comes to practice. It really is. Because you will be able to continue and not have to take a break, have to skip a week or a day or 2 days or 5 days. Because you've not only perhaps injured yourself or overtaxed your muscles, but you also kind of mentally put yourself over the edge to the point where you're dreading it. You're not looking forward to it. It's not a feel-good thing. You're thinking, oh my God, it's just going to be a whole big thing and so hot and so uncomfortable. And so all of these things, we don't want that. We want the yoga mat to be a very welcoming place. And it's up to you to do what you need to do to make that welcoming for you. Point and flex. And then rotate. So I've been in a lot of yoga classes in a lot of different studios, and I've certainly heard a lot of people say like, oh, I didn't feel welcome there. I didn't like that class. I didn't like that teacher. Okay. You know where I'm going with this, right? All of those feelings are in your head. We make our own reality with this. So if your yoga practice is dreadful, that's up to you to work on that, to change it around, to do things that make it better for you. The same thing with classes. Every teacher and every studio has its own sort of thing, right? Its own way of doing things. You may like or enjoy one or the other more or less, but again, you are always welcome there. You are just welcome to be there because you're a human being. You deserve to be there. You have every right to be there. If you feel out of place or feel uncomfortable, maybe that's a feeling that you're carrying within you that you need to get rid of and discard. Right? Wait, I think it's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Right? We are complicit in that belief that we are not good enough, that we are not enough, that we fail in some way, just before we even start. And that is something we need to discard. And if you discarded that in the new year, that would be great. Bend the knees. We're going to lower down. Get comfortable here. And we're going to do a bridge. If you want to do supported bridge, you can. I'm going to do regular bridge. Heels back, close to the body. And then lift. Hands by your side, or you could interlace them behind your back. Breathe. And then lower down. Soles of the feet together. Knees apart. And then extending the legs and the arms. We're just going to move into Shavasana. Relax here and breathe. So when we are really looking in to find our truth, we will notice that this changes over time. Um, it isn't so much that we have changed, it's our perception of who we are has changed, our interpretation, right? Um, in yoga, we talk about seeing through a lens that's cloudy. And our goal is to clean that lens, to clear it off, to see what's truly within. Um, and it takes time, right? As the years go by, you will clean that lens a little more, peeling off layers of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, right? Getting rid of that junk that we've built up over the years, our experiences and the people that we've met and the things that we've done and seen. They all give us different um, perspectives, right, on the truth, what's really true. We want to let go of those, burn them up, get rid of them, and be able to see what is really true. So in that sense, we don't change, but our ability to see the truth maybe changes as we get a deeper understanding. Um, so our practice will support that throughout your life, throughout everything that happens, the ups and the downs, the changes. Um, we keep seeking that truth and working with ourself wherever we are right now. Um, that is an important thing, I think, to recognize that none of us are completely seeing the truth, right? Um, it's like that idea of the top of the staircase being hidden, but yet we're walking up. We know it's there, but all we can see are the stairs that we're on right now. Um, but as we move through our practice and through our life, more is revealed as we are ready, right? As we ourselves are ready. We're all on our own timetables for this. Um, and you, I'm sure, can see that. I mean, if I look back at my practice when I first started yoga compared to now, it's very different. And some of that is appropriate simply because my practice has changed as I've aged. My physical practice has changed, asana, but my spiritual practice has changed so much as well. And how I feel about it, my own mental health, my own um, growth, I think, as a person, all of these things have been really helped and supported by my yoga practice. So I'd like to think of your practice as a kind of a way to fine tune your life. Right? It's a place where your weaknesses, your shortcomings, your struggles, but also your strengths and your insights, and all of these really beautiful things will come up for you in a very kind of low stress environment, right? You can look at things and think about them and um, kind of assess what's going on in a place that is very comforting and very supportive, right? We know, all of us, that the big wide world is not always that way for us. So we build that strength here. We build the resilience. We get the insights that we might need to then effectively be a human out into the world in a very successful way, a way that helps us feel good and productive. Right? When you feel ready, you can move around a little. If you want to stretch, that's good. And then come on up to your seat. We can bring hands together, breath in and out. Thank you for taking time this morning for yoga, for sharing it with me. I hope that you have a beautiful Tuesday. Namaste. Okay, hooray. Yoga Tuesday. Let's do meditation. Of course we will. Why not? I gotta find it. Usually I set this up ahead of time, but I didn't today. All right, so we're sitting up, relaxed and in that calm space mentally that we were in Shavasana, but we're trying to kind of hold the body a little more and keeping that focus on the mind and not really on the mind, right? That calm space within, right? And feeling the mind moving, but letting the thoughts pass, right? Noticing them, but not following them. And then we're back. And I didn't say hi to everybody. I'm sorry. I think some people left. Ruth, hi, and Susan and Deb and Gwen. Happy New Year and hello. So what we want to do with our practice, with our meditation practice, is we're getting comfortable with this internal landscape. We are listening for the voice, right? That what we call the small, still voice, or it could be a sound or a vibration. Everybody experiences this connection with the self differently. For me, sometimes I'll come upon something, like I'll be reading something or see something, and I can sense sort of a vibration from that. It's almost like if you've ever seen a tuning fork, how a tuning fork will vibrate, it's a feeling like that. Like a very deep feeling that you've stumbled across something truth, right? And you get it sometimes from people, or from ideas that you get, like things will sort of pop into your head, and you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is true. It's important to be able to differentiate between the mind, right? All these little random thoughts, the body, which can have, I mean, obvious feelings like hunger or pain, but the body can also have a little more complex sort of things. So like if you're undergoing a lot of stress, your body can have reactions to that. People have irritable bowel syndrome, different types of illnesses that are a result of the body kind of trying to communicate, hey, help me out here, I got a problem. So those are two internal things you might have competing for your attention. Then the self is much quieter. It's much you're not going to hear from the self as often. It'll be something probably kind of important when you do, but it may be very general too. It's not usually very direct. It's often a feeling or a sensation, or a picture. Sometimes people see a picture, like an image of something that is to come, or a way that they could change their life. I don't know. That's the beautiful thing about experiencing all this, is that your experience will be different and it will be your own. But it's explore. It's a good thing to explore and to find out. The world is a very confusing and complicated place, and any guidance that we can get is of value. So consult that inner atlas, right? And see where you're meant to go. All right. Enjoy Tuesday. Gosh, this was a big one, right? We had a lot. These are a lot of big ideas. So think about that. We'll get back to it. All right. See you guys tomorrow.